Let's return to what's happening on the planet and have a look at what's going on in Myanmar, a country that has been under military rule for 2 years now. The people of Myanmar are fleeing, they're escaping the clutches of the military junta and seeking refuge in neighboring Thailand. Reports say there are frequent clashes in Myanmar, violence has escalated, the military is fighting armed rebels, and the ordinary people, as always, are bearing the brunt. Here's more. This is what the border between Myanmar and Thailand looks like. These are people who fled their homes. They come from Myanmar, and Myanmar is at war. A civil war that is seeing several rebel groups fighting the military regime. Ordinary people, like always, are at the receiving end of this fight. Thousands have fled eastern Myanmar and have taken refuge in Thailand. This comes amid intense fighting between the army and resistant groups in the east. On Wednesday, at least 5,400 civilians crossed over to Thailand from Myanmar's Mayawadi district, and more are waiting to cross over. The Thai government is providing shelter, food and water to the refugees. The military junta is not exactly having a walk in the park either. It deposed the democratically elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi in February 2021. And since then, it has been fighting armed rebel groups and anti-coup organizations. They formed an alliance of sorts against the military rulers. The rebel groups had been fighting the government for years, but when the military took over, these groups joined hand with pro-democracy organizations. This has compounded the challenges for Myanmar's military regime. It has resorted to using lethal force against opponents. The human cost of the military rule has been enormous. More than 1.5 million people have been displaced, 40,000 homes have been gutted, 8 million children no longer have access to education, and about 15 million people are said to be facing a severe shortage of food. The military has jailed over 17,000 dissidents, and over 3,000 people have been killed in the past 2 years alone. Last week, 8 people, including children, were killed in northwest Myanmar. And on March 15th, 22 people were killed in an attack on a monastery in southern Myanmar. Among those killed were 3 monks. And these are just 2 examples. Such acts of violence have become the norm in Myanmar. The generals blame the rebels for this. In fact, they say that attacks by armed rebels have taken 5,500 civilian lives. Myanmar has a humanitarian disaster on its hands. The United Nations says 17.6 million people, who make up a third of the country's population, need humanitarian aid. The health system is in tatters. There's a mental health crisis that has taken hold of the country. Suicides are rising. So are deaths due to diseases. The World Bank describes Myanmar's economy as severely diminished. So it's not really a tough call for the people. Their best bet to survive is to get out of Myanmar and hope that normalcy returns soon.